You can say if there are no shellfish, it's going to have this kind of an impact, or if I can't fish in this region, I'm going to have to go somewhere else, or I'm not going to be able to support my family. I think those things, people have a hint of the long-term implications. I don't think at this point people are really considering the stress that's associated with those kinds of lifestyle changes, those lifescape changes that sort of shake us to our core. I have a jar of oil from Prince William Sound from Green Island that was taken in 2002. I would dare say that if we opened this and took a good whiff, we'd be set on our heels by the fumes that still exist. In the aftermath of a natural disaster, say a tornado, it's very apparent what's happened. A twister has come through, homes and buildings are destroyed, lives are likely lost, and there's very clear and apparent damage. You can see it with the eye. Technological disasters, as we see down on the coast, there's much less consensus about what's happened, the amount of damage, who's responsible, and who's to blame. Initially, this tends to bring communities close together, where they're trying to fight off the oil hitting their shores, trying to band together to do mitigation and cleanup activities. But over time, what happens is that existing social fissures or sort of fault lines of tension in the community can become exacerbated. It's easy for us to stand back and say, well, just get another job. But particularly for communities that have been involved in these livelihoods for generations, it's not quite that simple. It's a very cultural thing. It's a social thing. It's not just about going out and going to a job. It's about a way of life. The assignment of blame is a really big issue in terms of how people cope in the aftermath of particularly human-caused disasters. In some cases, that's a positive thing because you can assign that blame and you can say, this party is responsible, they need to pay, they need to compensate, they need to be punished with punitive damages in the legal system. There's more of a clear definition there. But at the same time, that finger pointing and blame, as we've already witnessed in congressional hearings, for example, it adds to the confusion. If you've been involved with any litigation for any purpose, whether it's a land dispute, a divorce, child custody, you know how stressful litigation can be and those processes, the language, the way people react and interact in litigation processes. If you expand that over 20 years, that takes its toll. Given the sheer numbers of people who live on the Gulf Coast, it's going to be far greater than anything that we've seen to date. One of the other things is the fact that the internet wasn't available during the Exxon Valdez oil spill. So this is going to be far more public and far more easily accessible to the regular person. I think one of the most important things that I could say at this point, having worked in a variety of settings, not just following oil spills, but now following the disaster in Haiti, looking at tornadoes and a number of other issues, unless you've been in a situation following a natural or a human-caused disaster, it's really difficult to grasp what people might be going through. You might be able to sympathize, but it's very difficult to empathize.